Hi everyone, my name is Joe, and today I'm going to be walking through the pre-qualification application guide and questions going through each section and some of the resources that you have today and that you can use during the pre-qualification application. So, brief agenda. I'm going to give another brief overview of the BEAD process for CPUC, and then a short introduction into the materials before walking through everything. As you know, two parts to the BEAD application. The first is what I'm going to be covering today, which is the pre-qualification. This is a broad overview information about your organization and includes things like resume requests, information about your company or nonprofit organization. Really, it's anything that's not specific to the project area that's in the next section, the project application. Organizations can only submit one pre-qualification, but they can submit many project applications for the different areas they are trying to serve. So the pre-qualification, as I mentioned, it's general requirements, certifications, and evaluated on pass-fail. That means that there's no specific score that's assigned to the pre-qualification, just that you meet all the requirements or you don't. There may be revision requests sent from CPUC if you missed anything in the application or perhaps submitted the wrong document or CPUC needs more information. Everything, the application itself, plus any revision requests will all happen within an application portal. You'll be notified by email to log back into the portal if you need to respond to a revision request. The project application is much more like a engineering and financial submission for a specific project area. So it will start out by actually creating a project area by selecting PAUs or project area units right on a map, an interactive map, and then filling out information specific to that project. So it includes things like shape files of the design. It includes things like the overall cost and BEAD match, everything specific to a project. Now, this one is ranked and scored according to the IPv2, the initial proposal, volume 2. Same thing with the pre-qualification. CPUC will request missing information or any revisions through the same process as the pre-qual. This is just a great overview. You are the applicant, you are registering, or you may have already registered in the Ready portal. You will submit a pre-qualification application, and then after submitting the pre-qualification, you can submit as many project applications as you'd like, of course, within the application window. You do not, that pre-qualification will be reviewed by the CPUC team. However, it does not need to be get the verification stamp in order for you to start on your project application. So if you are very eager and busy, you could possibly submit the pre-qualification application, and then as soon as the project application opens, you can submit that, start on a submission of that as well. We are publishing 2 application guides, one for each of the applications, pre-qualification and the project. The pre-qualification, what I'm going to be showing today, is already released and on the CPU website. The project application will be published soon. I'm going to walk through this, so I'm not going to expand on this too much now, but it's really split into 2 parts. One, general information about BEAD, logging in, portal navigation, and then every single question and some guidance on how to respond to it. That's the second part. We're also publishing, or we have published, a few templates that go along with the pre-qualification. Certain questions will ask applicants to download a template, like a Word file or an Excel file, and then upload it, complete it, and then upload it back into the application platform as a response to that question in either the same or maybe a different format. The 4 templates that are on the website, at least today, are right here in front of you. And more templates will be available, of course, in the application itself, or down the line when we give those out for the project application. Big note here on these published templates, while you can use them today and start filling them out, I highly recommend downloading them directly from the application platform when it's time to submit. That's because there may be small changes. Maybe we move a column around to make something easier to have it go along with some guidance. So just use these as a reference today. Make sure to download them from the platform when you're actually filling out your application. All right. Well, let me share my screen and just walk through the pre-qualification app guide. As I mentioned, this is already on the CPU website, and we've denoted this with a version 1. We're planning on releasing a second version closer to the launch of the pre-qualification app itself when it's open for applicants. And that's because we may want to add some additional guidance, maybe some more screenshots to just help applicants as we're also doing our own user testing. However, while the question order, the presentation style, and some of the features may be a little different, we're not expecting any of the questions to substantially change. So we're not going to ask you for more information or add in a trick question. Here's the content, and I'll freeze on each so you can pause the video or take a screenshot. But this introduction is just what I already explained, an overview of the BEAD process about each phase, and it goes pre-qualification, application, and then negotiations with CPUC. If this page number 3 is all about eligible applicants, what you on the very face need to have ready to go in order to submit your pre-qualification. We are adding a few resources on this page. If you're wondering what website do I need to go to register, what is the help desk link for a technical issue, I have a policy question, where does that go? Find it all in this section. If my only advice is if you have a technical issue, we have a specific link or email address for the Ready technical support team. But if you have a policy question for CPUC, you want to use this email right here. We will divert those questions as needed. I'll go through each of these 8 sections. And here's a few screenshots of the portal itself. I recommend registering if you're even contemplating submitting an application. I recommend registering now so you can get access to the portal on day 1. Here's the information about revising the application. Really just want to note that while you are going to receive notifications from CPUC from the portal via email, something like you have the X number of days to respond to a revision request, please log in. Do not respond to that email. It is a no reply email. Just make sure to log into the portal itself and reply there. All right, we're in just the first section, which is just the basics. Some of this may have already been entered in when you submitted your registration. We understand different teams may have registered years ago for other grant processes, so make sure to fill this out again. So it's the UEI, CPCN, address, contact information. And I liked just right here to point out that not everything is required. If it has the little asterisks here in the portal or in the guide, it will be available for, well, it will be required or conditionally required, but not everything is required. For example, this alternative contact email. If you don't have an alternative contact, you can actually just skip that. Or if you are the authorized certifying official, you can skip that too. Here in financial capacity, I want to point out branching trees. So depending on how you respond to question 2.1, we're looking for unqualified, qualified, or no financial statements. Depending on how you respond, you're going to have a different set of questions. So the total number of questions in this guide is not going to be the total number of questions you specifically have to answer for your organization. So for an example, 2.1a, this is only if applicants selected that they have unqualified audited statements. Other applicants will have to submit other documentation. I'm going to breeze through this section, go to section 3. So I wanted to talk about uploads. I mentioned there's certain templates that are going to be required to fill out and resubmit. There's also just general uploads, and we have specified a number of files you can upload and the type of file. This is one I always like to point to, organizational charts. The chart should also include everyone who you're submitting a resume for previously. You're going to want to list them in the chart. What's really important here is, these are the 4 file formats that are accepted. You just have to make sure that your organizational chart, if you have one or you need to create one, good to be something that's starting now, is just in one of those formats. Certain files, certain requests are asking for multiple files, perhaps, like multiple resumes, but we still may only request a single file upload. And we ask you in that case to just package all of your resumes as a PDF all in one file for review. In section 4, I want to denote gating questions versus non-gating questions. Most of the questions in the pre-qualification application are gating. For example, certify that you are going to follow Rule 1.1 of CPUC's rules of practice and procedure, and that you're aware of them. Applicants do not have a choice. They must select this checkbox in order to submit their application. That's an example of a gating question. While we're not scoring this application, we are limiting it to only applicants that can certify that they're going to follow the rules. Others may ask for a certification and a text box to follow. And there may be certain character limits that go along with that. So just be aware. And I'd like to point out, let's see. There are a few questions here asking about NEPA or CEQA, environmental questions. There's a longer environmental questionnaire in the project application, but in this section, we're only asking that you are aware that that's coming up and that you'll follow all of the rules and regulations that correspond to it. We'll have anything specific in order for this application guide for the next 2 sections, 5 and 6, fair labor or technical capabilities. But I do have a comment on section 7, risk management. So it denotes it right here in the top, and I mentioned this as there's a scoring versus gating question. We're not scoring these. All of these questions are yes, no, or NA, and this is just from CPUC asking for more information about your organization. Do not feel like you will be disqualified if you answer yes, no, or NA to any one of these questions. We may have additional follow-ups if, depending on your answer, but they will not disqualify any organization. And lastly, confidentiality and certification. The first, confidentiality. This is a multi-step process, but it's optional. And I should have mentioned right in the beginning that you're not able to mark anything confidential. Do not redact any information as you go through the application. And that's because you have a chance right at the end to upload redacted files or to note that certain responses to certain questions should be redacted if anything needs to be released to the public. They're mostly in the project app, but certain questions cannot be redacted, and we'll denote those too. For example, In the project application, there is a 100-character project description that goes to the NTIA, and it's public, so we can't redact that. But maybe you have personal identifiable information. Right, first, straight off the bat, do not add that into your application. We ask you to not add it. But if you want to maybe redact an attachment or a specific question, it's this process. You want to say yes here. There's a template and a section where you can upload redacted attachments. In an upcoming version, there's also a section where you can download the entire application, redact, and re-upload. A few options there, but again, all optional. Do not need to redact anything. Lastly is certification. So the certification process is, of course, after you've gone through the entire application, you'll want to specify which type of organization you are, telephone or non-telephone corporation, download the relevant certification, print it out, sign it, get it notarized, scan it, and upload it back into the platform. Lastly, a few links to other resources and guides. Well, I hope this was helpful, this technical assistance video. You can find all of these resources on the CPUC homepage in the beads section, and along with all of the templates. And be on the lookout for more resources related to the project application guide, and good luck.